Hi, I'm Kylie, incoming freshman at MIT, who is accepted into Harvard, Stanford, MIT, and Caltech, and I'm here at Cascade Park in Twin Falls, Idaho, formerly known as Candy Cane Park, to talk to you guys about SAT subject tests. Let's go! So what are SAT subject tests? Well, they're basically what they sound like, what the name says. They're an SAT-based test, so it's like the same formatting, multiple choice and stuff, but they're specifically for specific subjects. So like there's a physics one, a biology one, a chemistry one, there are two math ones. There are two math ones as in like two different levels of math and things like that. And they're graded out of 800 points. But the thing is, they're not graded the same way that SAT tests are graded. So they're slightly different. Like, if you get a question wrong, you're actually deducted points. So it's better not to guess on questions. Whereas on the SAT test, it's better to guess because you're not penalized for getting a question wrong. And so there are little differences like that in the two different tests. SAT subject tests are required by certain schools, probably just like the highest ones, so like MIT, Harvard, Stanford, those kinds of schools. So basically they want to see that you're decent at one of these subjects because these tests aren't actually that hard. All they require is a lot of memorization because they have a lot of questions similar to AP tests, the multiple choice AP tests, but you're not given any formula sheets. So for example, with the physics one, you're given a lot of those, like solve this kind of problem, and it's like a word problem similar to the one on the AP physics test, but then there's no formula sheet, so you need to know all of your like kinematics formulas, all of your energy formulas, all those kinds of things. And so it's very similar for all of the other SAT subject tests, that it's just like information you need to know. Like the US history subject test, you need to know a lot of dates, a lot of things that have happened, a lot of presidents, a lot of other famous people, things like that. And for the biology one, you need to know a lot of the terms and a lot of things like that. So the SAT subject tests are basically just tests of memorization, whether you know the information. Because of this, and because they're very easy tests, to be honest, it's probably essential if you're shooting for the top US universities to score like really high on them. So like 780 points or above, I always tell people, but anywhere higher than that's better. So a lot of people get straight 800s on them, like a lot more than people get 5s on AP exams. So getting that solid 800 is really good. And it's actually easier to get an 800 on SAT subject test than you think, because there's some built-in relieving points, so to speak, that you can miss a couple questions or so and still get an 800. It matters test to test, like it differs test to test. Some tests you can miss more questions than others, but the point is that you can still miss a couple and still score that perfect score. So it looks kind of bad if you do really bad on them. So the rule is like don't take a subject test if you aren't confident in it, because don't just like do it for fun or whatever, because like if you score really bad, it's going to look really bad. And so only do the ones where you know you're going to do absolutely amazing and it'll look really good for you. To study for SAT subject test, I got prep books for each one that I was going to take, and I just went through the prep books. The physics SAT subject test prep book had like all of the equations I need to know, so that was really useful. I just like sat and memorized all of them and did problems and stuff. But it's also very useful if you take the subject test after you've taken a class in it, like preferably an AP class course, so that, you know, it seems easier, because the AP test is harder. And it should feel easy after the AP test. So what a lot of people do is there are two sessions, SAT subject test sessions at the end of the school year, and so people will take one, I think it's in May, and then they'll take another one in June, and so they have like a backup session. So that if they messed up in the May session, then, you know, taking the test again in June can help cover that up, or if you felt like not confident about your May session, because you know you don't get your scores back in time for the June session, so a lot of people just like retake it again in June, just as like, you know, to make them feel more comfortable about it, just to make sure they have a second shot at it. Maybe you needed more study time, things like that. But the important thing is that you have those two convenient times at the end of the school year that you can, you know, take it while the material is fresh in your mind. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next week. Bye!